Hey, hello everyone. Having a great day. I hope. This is Mike Grabham again from sunny Seattle, Washington. It's the summertime. There's no better place to be in the world than sunny Seattle, Washington in the summertime. Only problem is our summers are really short. So, welcome back to the live show. Hey, we are talking today about raising money. In the last 48 hours, I've got 4 emails from people about raising money. So I thought I would just create a video about how and when and sometimes not when to raise money. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, my name is Mike Grabham. I'm here because I share my info about starting companies. I help people launch ideas. So feel free to comment, give me a thumbs up. If you've never watched a live event, definitely give me a thumbs up and say first live. Let me know where you're from. We've got people from all over the UK, and I did a webinar in UK yesterday, and people from Kansas City over here. So yeah, so we've had quite the diverse group so far. So give me a thumbs up, like I said. Let me know what's going on. Please ask any questions you may have, and I'll answer them with direct messages, or maybe even just live as you ask them on the comments. The comments show up here on my little handy dandy phone, so I know when people are there, so I can see right now that I'm live and I got comments. So yeah, so let me know what I can do, and I will do it. So let's jump into it today about raising capital. So really, it's like, the goal is not to raise capital. The goal is to make a business that you need money to make the business grow faster. So what I hear a lot is that people their goal is literally just to raise money. It's like, oh, I want to do this so I can raise money. But that's not the goal. The goal should be build a business so you can, you can hopefully somebody's asking you to so they can give you money. That's a much better situation, right? So don't just have the goal of raising money. Have the goal of building a business that actually creates value, and people will want to give you money, or you'll need money to just grow it faster. It's not, you don't get money just to so that you can survive through the hard times, right? You've got to have a reason to raise money. So here are the sources to raise money. Pretty simple stuff. Friends and family, obviously, they're really investing in you as an individual versus probably your idea. So that's wouldn't be called really smart money. So you've got friends and family, you've got angel investors, you've got VCs, and you've got crowdsourcing or some variation of crowdsourcing. So those are really your choices. You can always go from like an SBA loan standpoint for debt, but most startups don't qualify for that because they're just too risky for most normal financial institutions. So those are your choices. But really, here's the thing. Why are you raising money? Are you raising money because you are in a first mover advantage industry where you're the first one to do something very unique and you just need it to scale out as quickly as possible? That's absolutely happens from time to time. But most of those type of companies, they've done a ton of research before they're getting any real money from any VC, especially VCs. They may have raised a small $100, $200, $300, $400, $5,000 round of money to maybe do some of the deep research or maybe some kind of initial builds of something. But for the most part, they're not raising any real money for that type of business until they really start to understand the problem, really deeply understand the problem. So really, you've got to understand where you're at and what you really need the money for. So just be clear on that. I mean, VC money is very different than angel money. Angel money is different than friends and family money. It all has different strings attached. So you need to understand that. So if you've never done it before, find people that can advise you that have done it before and just give you some clear advice on, because maybe you're not a VC company that would raise VC funding, or maybe you're not one that you raise angel funding. No, less than 5% of companies raise any kind of angel or VC money. Less than 5%. So that's a very small number. Very small number. So don't think that just because you have an idea that you're going to raise money through VC and angel investors. It doesn't happen a lot. So and don't be surprised when you get turned down by these people. That happens a lot as well. So you just really got to understand why you're raising money. So today we're talking about what to do when what to do when you want to raise money. I'm talking about a lot of the facets around raising money, like why you do it, when you should start doing it, etc. So if you just join me, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you're first to the live, tell me it's the first live event. Let me know where you're at and what part of the world you're in. I'd love to hear that. And if I can answer any questions about this, feel free to drop me a note. I'm doing this because I've had 4 emails in the last 48 hours about how to raise money or when to raise money, or some questions around raising money. So here we go. So to continue on down the road. So let's assume now you have a good reason to raise money. You know who you want to target, and it's a small bit about targeting. You need to create a targeted list of who you're raising money from. So let's assume that you are now raising money. You feel you need it. You've got a good reason. You've probably got some metrics behind your idea. Hopefully, you have some ideas of like what it's going to cost to acquire a customer. What's the long-term value of the customer? Those type of numbers are super important, and actually critical depending on where you live and what parts of the world you live in. Some people won't invest without those numbers, knowing those numbers. So you should always strive to be having those first customers before you start raising money. It's just a different conversations when you have customers versus when you do not have customers. So important to get there. So let's talk about the fact that once you're ready to raise money, what do you need? Well, you obviously need a pitch deck. I'm not going to go into details about that. You can find lots of those sources online. You're going to need a good attorney that's gone through some financing. They have to have experience through financing. Don't just pick some attorney friend that has not done that. It's super important that they understand the financing, how the world works. I would get an advisor or two that's gone through financing rounds, because there's control of things in the documents. There's lead investor. There's lots of just nuances within a raising money, even from a small angel round, that you really need to understand. Who's your lead investor? It's just lots of things you need. So find an advisor or two that have raised money and let them share some insights on what they've learned, and be honest with them about if you've never done it before. So those are the keys there of raising money with it, especially for that first time. Now here's some things that you should when you're talking to VCs. Again, let's just assume you're going to do it. You now have a list of targeted VCs that have invested maybe in your industry or some things around your industry, so they would likely have interest in your product or service. So when you're trying to outreach to those, you cannot start too early creating that relationship, because it is a relationship. So if you're going to raise money in the fall, you should be talking to them in the spring or even in January. And you've heard me talk about this before, but you can't start too early on that relationship building. So let's assume you've started a relationship. Okay, so you want to start sending out decks to some of the people you've done it. So you create a deck. Here's what you don't do, just in case you've done that. You want to do this. Do not send them an NDA. VCs will not sign an NDA. It's almost impossible for them, because they're seeing deals every day, talking to entrepreneurs every day. So there's really no way for them to not disclose something. So unless you're opposed to having someone share information about your idea, then don't talk to VCs, because they're not going to sign an NDA, and do not send them one, because it just shows that you don't know what you're doing. So it's just a fact of life. So maybe a corporate VC, you can get away with some of those things if your idea is works in their space. Maybe it's super valuable or something, but when you're talking to a straight VC, do not send an NDA. It's the kiss of death. They already know right then, and they get one. You don't know what you're doing. So that's just a small tidbit, a tip, a follow from here forward. And then, where do you go once you start that relationship is really about, you have a conversation, maybe 2 or maybe 3, and if you get a no, here's the no. The no is not, no, I don't like you. The no is probably, it's one of 2 things. It's a no, I do not like the idea, it doesn't make any sense to me, which could be, or it's no, we're not ready to do it at this time, as of today. So it's better when you get a no to just say, okay, what was your hesitation? take the feedback and just say, great, I'll let you know how it goes. Because here's some things that might happen. The investor might, 6 months from now or 9 months from now, or maybe a year from now, when you're raising more money, the investor might think it is a good point at that point in time. So you don't want to burn a bridge in that world, but you do want to get feedback, and you don't want to bug the investor. Like, there's no reason to like challenge the investor, like, oh, it's a great idea, you should invest, after they've already told you no, because you're just making them be defensive. So please just take the no, get some feedback, and go on, right? Because you just need to keep them in the loop, because you never know. And maybe even your next company, maybe 3 years down the road, you have a new company and you want to raise money and they're a great fit. You want to talk to those people. So there's no reason to burn that bridge. It doesn't help you by doing that, by trying to be right. Like, you don't know what you're listening. You must not be seeing something. I hear all these things, like why they didn't say yes to me. So they have their reasons. So don't worry about it. Just go on to the next one. So those are, it's really a long process to raise money, and you need to understand that. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 60 days. It doesn't happen in 90 days. I mean, you should plan, 3, 4, 6 months to raise a round of significant money. Anything over $1 million, you should plan for at least 90 to 180 days. Because if it happens less than that, that's great, because it can, but just don't plan on it, because it does take time. So those are the things you need to understand, in that process. And I want to take a kind of step back about, when is the right time to raise money. The right time to raise money is when you don't need it. It's always the best time, but many of us can't wait for that. So the right time to raise money is when you have known metrics. Like I mentioned this before, you have known metrics. You know what it costs to acquire a customer, and you know what value you're getting from that customer, or how much revenue you're getting from that customer over the life of the customer with you. So if you know those two numbers, and you can kind of really strongly say, I know how to get more of these customers, and I can keep these customers, then that is really a good sign. I mean, it's a great sign, assuming your business can scale, right? But if you know those two metrics, you're in a really good position to go and raise money, because really they're just adding money because they know that you can really scale it. And what the unknown for most investors is can this team scale it? Meaning, can the people involved and can the idea scale? Those two things need to be the yeses, and they're hard to predict. And no VC is going to say it's easy. So those are my tips today. So let me just highlight it. So let's go back. So one, know why you're raising money. Like, why the heck are you raising money? Is it because you just want to be cool? Because that's probably not a great reason. Because you've got to have a reason of what you're going to do with this money. And they're going to ask you those things, like, why are you raising money? And when I say they, VCs, angel investors, they're all going to ask similar questions. So be ready to answer, like, why are you raising money? What are you going to do with this money? What's going to be the outcome of this money? And you better have clear, concise answers for that. So those are pieces to have in your bucket, right? Have, of course, a great pitch deck, 10 to 15 slides, keep it short. Have a really short exec sum. Have a super short pitch that you can do over the phone in like 30 seconds. Like, why is it important? And why is it important today? Like answer those questions. But that's what they want to know. Like, why is it important and why do I care today? If you can answer those, and like, oh, okay, I should listen more to this pitch, right? So know those things, practice them, nail them down, and then, and more importantly, know who your target is. Know if a VC is right. Know if an angel investors is the right investment. Know if your friends and family is the right investment, and understand that less than 5% of companies get funded. Less than 5%, guys. So it doesn't make sense. Not everyone gets funded. So just be aware of that. It's super important that you can take no, because you're going to hear no a lot more than you're going to hear yes. It's just the way it is. So don't burn bridges. Be respectful. Create relationships way before you're ready to raise money. And those are easy to create because you can reach out to these people, and just say, hey, I want to get on your radar. I want to talk to you. I want some feedback about my product. That's the kind of stuff that they'll happily give you. And then you create this relationship with them. And 6 months or 9 months later, when you're ready to get a check, then maybe they could be. And sometimes those aren't, but they actually can introduce you to someone that is. So again, important to create those relationships with people that have access to other people like that. So you've got to do that early on. And last, but not the very least, understand how much money you need. It sounds kind of simple, but understand the amount of money you need. So, things work in percentages. So you really need to understand how the VC world works, right? They don't want 50% of your company in the early stage round. They're going to take 15 to 22, 24%, right? It's just kind of normal, right? That's what they want. They're not going to take a bunch of the company because otherwise it doesn't make sense, because they know there's going to be follow-on rounds. So just be aware of how that world works. You need to understand how the VC and angel investor world works. So find some advisors who can help you understand that. Read there's tons of information on the internet that you can find about that. So do some research, make sure you know what's going on and how the VC model really works, because it's not for everyone, and it's actually not for most companies. VC funding is not for most companies. It's actually for the very small percentage of companies. So most companies are not ready for that. Most companies get funded by credit cards and friends. Honestly, credit cards and friends is how most companies get funded, how most small businesses start. So, but go ahead and leave me some comments. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if it's the first time live. And we're on every Tuesday and Thursday. Next Tuesday, we have Rand Fishkin. We're going to be talking about startups and a little bit about marketing, as you would probably guess with Rand. So we'll be on next Tuesday. So feel free to click in and watch that. And please leave comments. Let me check to make sure there's nothing that we need to answer as we go right now. I will refresh. Oh, yeah. Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan from Northern Idaho. Awesome. That's great. Thanks for stopping by, Jonathan. Anyone else? Let me know what you're doing, what you're up to. I'm happy to help. But where are we at? Gonna make sure my time. Oh, good. I got another 30 seconds. So I'm trying to keep everything about 17 to 20 minutes long, and these short versions. And then when I have guests, I'll go a little longer. We're probably going to go about 30 minutes long, maybe 35 minutes long. So try to keep these relatively short. So again, let me know what I can answer on raising capital, but just be aware there's lots of idiosyncrasies, lots of things you really need to understand before you say, I'm ready to raise money. Because normally you're not ready to raise money when you think you're ready to raise money. There's lots of things you need to do before that. So until next time, take care. We'll see you around the corner. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye. Take care.